Good evening. Good evening, dear participants. Once again, welcome back Thursday, 8 o'clock India time on 26th of March today. So we are here to continue with what we were discussing in the last session on the last Thursday about Chino. Chino, a boy with autism, was describing the emotional journey from 0 to 25 years. So in continuation to that, today we'll be doing a little bit of analysis of what Chino said, and we'll understand the outcome which we were looking at as behavior. And we have been, for 0 to 25 years, we have been working with Chino on behavior modification, on different therapies to control the behavior or to correct the behavior, to find the mistakes in behavior, which we were finding it as a core concern of autism in Chino was not actually just behavior. There were underlying stress and depression. And we'll also discuss today, though in detail we'll take it to the next session, but we'll discuss in brief today about the regression and link between the stress, depression, and regression in autism. That we usually say regression, the cause is unknown. So we'll be talking about it. And the next session would be majorly based upon the regression and autism. So continuation to the understanding the stress and depression in autism. Today's today's webinar name has been is From Silence to Self. Let me just begin with my slideshow. Allow me a moment. So the emotional journey of autism. Before we begin, yes, I want to inform you all about this new project of JKP Foundation that is called Aspire. It's an international online school for children with special needs. So the admissions are open. We are starting from 1st of April 2026. Aspire e-Pathshala. It is a school curriculum-based program where we are clubbing therapies as well as the academic development, academic competence of the children. So for more details, you can visit us at www.jkp.ngo/aspire. Let's begin. The silent crisis. The silent crisis which children with autism often face. So children with autism are not just struggling with the development. They're not just struggling with their fine motors, gross motors, or the other speech development or communication hurdles. They're silently struggling with stress, anxiety, and depression. Many children are not problem children, which we usually name them as. They are emotionally overwhelmed children. So connecting it back to the story of Chino, what Chino felt at different stages. There will be some slides which I'll be repeating to refresh, to connect you back with the Chino. So what Chino felt in the age of 0 to 3 years. The world was too much for him. So Chino says, I did not like being touched suddenly. When people picked me up, I would stiffen. When relatives tried to cuddle me, I would cry. The lights were too bright. The sounds were too sharp. Pressure calmed me, but nobody knew that. My mother tried everything. Doctors said he is just a little delayed. But my mother knew something was different. So what was different? What Chino was feeling? Let's do an analysis. It was not just crying. Behavior, the observable, measurable action of a child, that was crying. You can observe crying and you can measure the intensity of crying. You can measure with intensity or you can measure with time as well. And the behavior experts started working on behavior modification. But underlying reasons remain untouched. So a true behavior expert is the person who works on the underlying reasons of the behavior, who understands why this behavior is coming. So it was not just crying. It was the sensory stress, constant overwhelm, and physical discomfort. That's why Chinu said the world was too much for him. So we need to work on the underlying concerns. Next slide. Last we what Chinu said. So emotional reality of silence. Silence that spoke 3 to 5 years. So other children started speaking. I did not. I could hear everything. I could understand more than they thought. But words did not come easily to me. Sometimes I repeated sounds, sometimes I stayed silent. People said he doesn't listen. But remember, he could hear everything. So, but I was listening to everything. Too much, actually. So, emotional reality of silence is not calmness. If a child is silent, if a child is not able to speak, or if a child with autism is in the stage of silence, I mean, suddenly becomes silent, though he is verbal, it is not calmness. The child is not calm. It's just that child is not showing the behavior of making sound or speaking words. But internally, there are a lot of things going on. So it is internal overload, communication frustration, and early emotional isolation. So when a child cannot express, stress builds internally. Are the other behaviors that we called as tantrums with routine change. So Chinu's word, my own word, 5 to 7 years. I liked patterns. I liked spinning wheels. I liked watching shadows. I liked things that didn't change because everything else did too fast. When routines changed, my whole body reacted. I screamed. They called it tantrum. But for me, it was panic. So actually, the behaviors which we call as tantrums, they are anxiety attacks, loss of control, fear of unpredictability, the behaviors related to the routine change. When child suddenly starts screaming, gets into crying, or starts hitting or hurting himself or herself. Those are not the behaviors. We'll observe them as behaviors, but the underlying reasons are could be fear of unpredictability. What we do, we say child does not like change in routine, so we fix a routine for the child. So child is more controlled. But we don't work on the fear of unpredictability. So structured environment, yes. For autism, they everywhere globally they say give them structured environment, they are more controlled. Give them structured environment, give them predictable. But nobody works on the fear of unpredictability. World is not structured, and you want to give structured environment to your child. And then we talk about mainstreaming our children. We talk about inclusion in the society. How we can achieve the true inclusion without making them comfortable with unpredictability. If we just give them structured environment, they will not give structured and get in structured environment every day in the entire environment. I mean, the society, be it at the workplace, be it at neighborhood, be it at daily routines. But right from childhood, because professionals have told us children with autism are comfortable with structured environment, so we should give them structured environment. We keep on working, we train them under structured environment. A controversial talk I'm giving right now. So a structured environment does more harm than benefits for the child. Yes, temporarily, you can see child is happy, child is settled, child is not showing you symptoms of symptoms of anxiety. So you feel comfortable, child shows to be comfortable. But the true underlying reason, underlying cause, fear of unpredictability still remains. And the fact is, world is unpredictable. We need to accept. Every day, every time, throughout the life, we cannot give them structured environment. So we need to work on the fear of unpredictability rather than just giving them the structured environment. So for me, it was just panic, which you call as tantrum, which you call as behavior. For me, it's just panic. This is where behavior gets mislabeled and emotional damage begins. If you start taking it as behavior, if you start working on behavior modification like this, then the panic is mislabeled as behavior and the whole therapies, whole processes are going in the wrong direction. That's where the emotional damage starts for the child. At very early childhood age, it starts. Then comes the school and social emotional stress zones. The school and social settings like social circle, friends, school, that age, 7 to 10 years, when child starts understanding the other children, starts connecting with them, tries to connect, but own language. Other children have their own language and not able to connect. So that's the emotional stress. As long as child is at home, child is more protected and feels more safe. But the moment child's environment is changed to the school. So let's see what Chinu had explained to us. So at 7 years old, the beginning of awareness. By the time when I was 7, I started noticing something. I was not like other children. They laughed easily. They spoke freely. They made friends. And I just observed. Mornings that hurt me. So mornings were not gentle. The fan noise, the brushing, the textures, everything felt intense. I didn't know how to say that it hurts. So I cried, and they thought I was being difficult. School was confusing. I knew answers, but I couldn't say them. My mind would freeze when everyone looked at me. Teachers thought I didn't. Children laughed at me. I learned something important that day. Silence protects you, but it also isolates you. Friendship, a language that I didn't know. So I wanted friends, but I didn't understand the rules. When to talk, how long to look, when to say next. Conversations moved fast. My brain didn't. So I stayed behind. All of this, if you see together, I'm going back to these slides once more, just showing it to you. When I started being aware about myself, when I started being aware about my surroundings, I started noticing other children. I started noticing how they were connecting with each other. They were talking to each other. They were making friends with each other. Mornings, the sensory overload which I was getting, or how the things were being difficult. Simple tasks were being difficult for me. School, like when teachers were questioning me in the classroom, and the moment my name was taken, I used to pay attention, but I knew the answers, but my mind used to be freeze when people were looking at me, and then I was not knowing what to do. And then I remained silent. Teachers, other children laughed at me. Teachers misunderstood my behavior. This silence, they took it as that I do not know the answer. I was not silent that because I didn't know the answer, but I was silent because I didn't have words to explain that. I knew the answer, but I could not explain. So this silent, which I used as a shield for me, but it also isolated me from others. So my friendship, which could have flourished, could never happen. I didn't understand the rules of friendship. I didn't understand when to talk, when to stop, when to say next. And children were talking too fast. My brain couldn't catch up with them. So I stayed behind. So in this whole or in these all slides, what Chino is trying to explain, if you see how much emotional stress a child with autism goes through, they have performance anxiety, social rejection, fear of being judged, learned helplessness. So school becomes a battlefield for them. And we say, before even school readiness, we want to put our child in the school as soon as possible because we say child will learn from there. He will start learning from other children. So even if child is not school ready for the school, before giving the school readiness programs, we just want our child to go in the school. So it's like you are sending a soldier in battlefield without the arms, without the guns, without the support system, or without the backup. So school becomes a battlefield for them. Repeated failure creates chronic stress, and that there is a risk of depression. So whatever I'm talking from the internal side of Chino, internal side of a child with autism, the emotions that are converting into stress, and prolonged stress that converts into depression. And the next session, we will see to it how it relates with the regression in autism. So inside, there was a straw. Again, let's look into what Chino is saying when he is 12 to 13 years. I started feeling these things more deeply: sadness, frustration, loneliness. And trust me, if you truly read these lines, the previous slides, even if you were there in place of Chino, not with autism, so-called diagnosis, you would have felt the same way. You would have felt sad, frustrated, lonely. But the child was feeling it, but didn't have words to name it. So Chino says, but I couldn't label them. If someone asked what happened, I would say, I don't know. But inside, there was a storm of thoughts, storm of feelings, which was going on inside, which I could not even understand. I could not express them. So imagine the situation of a child, 10 to 13 years old, going through so many emotions and not able to describe them to you. So Chinu was in emotional confusion. Internal chaos was going on. And this is the beginning of depressive patterns. This is where depression starts silent. Because of so many emotions, which I'm not able to express, I'm in emotional confusion because I myself am not able to understand those emotions. And there is a storm going on inside, which I'm not able to let out. Definitely, it affects the cognition of my brain, and that reflects in my behavior, directly reflects in my behavior. Either I become too hyper or I become too soothing. So, anger. It's a powerful reframe of my emotions, that is it. So I become angry. Anger that nobody understood. When everything became too much, I exploded. I shouted. I hit. I broke things, which you say hyperactive behavior, hitting behavior, self-hitting behavior. But it was not behavior. It was just overload. Overload of emotions, overload of the stress, what I was going through. So the real work would have been on those emotions, on those, on the environment that was giving me the stress. And that's how I say, whenever a child with all these symptoms comes to me, with all those behavior, aggression, severity of autism, having behavior, at Spandan, the residential rehab we are running, we have adults who come with a lot of struggle. And parents say we cannot keep them at home. They hurt, they hit us, they break things. At Spandan, initially for 5, 10, 15, 20 days. After that, all these things are gone. Why? Because we don't work on behavior. Rather, we work on their emotional healing. We work on their overload. We work on the environment. Trust me, 50% of the behaviors can be handled without even touching the child. Touching as in without even giving a single therapy to the child. 50% of behavioral problems in the child, just by environmental correction. I'm making a big claim, but it is from my experience I'm making this claim. You don't have to bring your child to me for your for the therapies. I just want to do environmental analysis, understand the environment, observe the child's reactions, make corrections in the environment, educate the people around, the family members, parents, teachers, make corrections in physical spaces, physical environment, as well as the materials that child uses. And 50% of overload is gone. Because we work on emotional corrections, emotional support, not directly on behavior. Behavior is just the outcome of the emotions and stress the child is going through. So the anger, aggression is not anger. The hitting behavior you say, that is not anger. It is emotional overflow. It is accumulated stress and it's breakdown. So it was overload. Unexpressed emotions don't disappear or disappear. They explode. So emotions that I'm holding inside, holding, and then they are becoming overload or storm inside. One day or the other, they have to explode. Sometimes when it is too much, it doesn't wait for the day. Within a day, 10 times they explode. So anger indicates that something very important is happening within. A need, a boundary, or a pain that has not been heard. We do not need any anger management workshops. We do not need to control this anger. Because anger is also an emotion that comes from that comes like a blessing from the nature to us. So we need to express it. It's just that we need to understand the hidden causes behind this anger, work on them, so automatically overload does not happen. Or release it, release it, release it. We do not let it accumulate so much that it explodes. So stress releasing exercises multiple times in the day. The stress comes, accumulates, one, piles, one, and two, three, four. We don't wait for it to reach till 10. So on every third, after every three levels, on every third level, I release. Then three levels, I release. So it's like a glass of water. You are filling it under the tap and you are allowing it to fill. Definitely, glass has limited space. It will overflow. It will just overflow. But if you take little bit of it, pour it, little bit of it, pour it, little bit of it, pour it. So there is no overflow. There is no overload of emotions and there is no anger. So anger indicates something very important happening within. That could be a need, that could be a boundary, the limitation that I feel, or pain that has not been heard. During puberty, Chino was very uncomfortable during puberty because it was not only the emotions, it was hormones and autism, emotional risk. So then something new began. Chino says, my body changed. Feelings appeared that I didn't understand. Sometimes my heart raced for no clear reason. Sometimes my body reacted in ways I couldn't control. I was scared. There was a girl in my class. When I saw her, something felt different. Warm, nervous, confusing. Was this friendship? Was this something else? Nobody had explained this to me. Sometimes I stared too long. Sometimes I stood too close. And people reacted, don't do that. But no one told me what to do instead. So, puberty, it's hormone and autism and makes it emotional risk. Confusion about the body changes. There is no emotional guidance to me. So it is increased anxiety and identity confusion. So this is a high risk phase for depression. Teenage, hormonal changes, it's a high risk phase for depression. So teens to college, the invisible depression. Now, when I Okay, I overcome the teenage. I mean, and I started going to the college. I have become 16 to 18 years. And I am masking my autism. So I began asking myself, who am I? Why am I different? Why is everything harder for me? There were no clear answers, only more questions. So everyone said in the college will change everything. It did. It changed things for me, but it became harder. Too much of information, too many people, too many expectations. I understood the concepts, but couldn't express them. And then I started feeling lonely in the crowds. I was surrounded by people, but yet I had no one. I wanted to talk, but starting a conversation felt like solving a puzzle with the missing pieces. There was someone I liked. I rehearsed conversations in my head again and again, but when the moment came to speak, I said nothing. She walked away, and I stayed silent. And then, when it comes to taking the decisions at this age, so what do you want to do in life? I didn't know. Too many choices, my brain froze. So, whenever I have too many choices, my brain freezes. So, my brain froze. Even simple decisions like choosing food felt overwhelming to me. So, this was the stage of loneliness in the crowds, social failure experiences, decision paralysis. When there are too many choices, you give me and I freeze. That's called decision paralysis. I'm not able to make decisions. That's why I always recommend people who are the parents who have been in touch with me and who have discussed with me in previously or previous sessions you have attended. I always say start from right from childhood, early childhood, start giving them options. Start with two options, then add on three, add on four. Because at the later stage, I don't want them to be at the stage of decision paralysis. Options in everything. You're giving a glass of water, child says water, child is communicating to you about his thirst through gesture, through words, whatever form. Do not just simply fill up a glass of water and hand over to the child. Give options. As per the climate, wherever you live in across the globe, warm water, cold water, plain water, flavored water, or water in a glass, water in a cup, give options. Let the child choose. That will help the brain cognition to work. And then repeated rejections at this stage, which I felt in the college stage. So I had no one. This is not just loneliness. This is depressive isolation. Understand there are differences. Loneliness, being lonely, and being in depressive isolation. These are two different terms. So, what you considered me as loneliness, I like to be lonely. The child likes to play, likes to stay lonely, stay in his room. Okay, but that is not being lonely. That is being depressive, being in depressive isolation. That needs to be handled very carefully. At adulthood, masking an internal stress. So now expectations increased, career, responsibility, independence. I was at my workplace, but I was still figuring out how to manage my daily life. I was still struggling with that fan sound, the brush, how to manage, how to plan the routine, how to handle the unpredictability. I was still struggling with that. Slowly, I began to understand I am not broken. My brain is wired differently. I process differently. I feel differently. And I respond differently. I stopped asking, why am I like this? I started asking, how can I live with this? So I started masking my autism. I'm 25 now. I still struggle with noises, with emotions, with relationships, with choices. But I also notice details others miss, feel deeply, and think uniquely. So adulthood is about masking an internal stress, trying to fit in. If you see the struggle, last 3, 4 slides that I've read, which Chino is saying, you see Chino is trying to fit in this society norms. Constant mental efforts Chino is putting. And there is emotional exhaustion and hidden depression inside. So many adults with autism look fine, but they are emotionally exhausted. We need to provide them support. And this all story, which I have just explained, at every point it relates to stress in autism. At every step we are seeing, right from my childhood till my adulthood. And further, if you do more analysis, in the geriatric population, it is terrible. That I didn't want to walk through because it will become too much to handle for us at this stage. Maybe some other time, some other day, we'll be talking about autism in the older age. There's nothing being done for autism in the older age. So that we will be discussing at a later stage. Let's look into the stress in autism. So stress is not occasional in autism. It is often constant. My purpose of you walking through the story of Chinu last week and not explaining it, not relating it with stress directly and leaving you for 1 week was that I wanted you all to see in your daily life with your children. Connect Chinu with your own child, whatever the child's age is, and understand the stress. And today I have explained it to you, so you can connect it more better because you can relate with it. So stress is not occasional in autism. It is a constant emotion, constant condition that goes on. And it is triggered by daily life. If you see Chinu's life, by small things, stress is being triggered and expressed through behavior. So stress is the baseline, not an exception. So what we see in stress and what it actually means. The behaviors which we say meltdown, withdrawal, sleep issues, aggression. So meltdowns are emotional overload. Withdrawals are depression. Withdrawals is when I stop connecting with people around, with things around, when I don't take interest in the activities, even in the activities that I used to like a lot. I slowly start withdrawing from my daily routines or from my daily activities. That's called withdrawal. Sleep issues is anxiety. Aggression is internal distress. So emotional overload, depression, anxiety, internal distress, these all are forms of stress. So if a child has sleep issues, what we do? Start sedative tablets. Do they work on anxiety? No. So the underlying reasons. If a child is in withdrawal, what we do? Make routine more active for him, involve him more, give more attention. But are we working on depression? No. If a child is in meltdown, what we do? We give more instructions. Child is crying, screaming, and we say, don't scream like this. You will not get the chocolate. I'll not take you out to the garden. We are fueling the emotional overload. In trying to control the meltdown, in trying to control the behavior, we become more aggressive than the child. All of you parents, once go back to your home, and if you have access to the CCTV cameras, look at the CCTV, how your child behaved in a meltdown situation and how you reacted to it. Or ask anyone to just observe you during such process and then take the inputs from them. But if you have previous history, from today, I'm sure this session is going to change your behavior towards the child's behavior. I mean, the response you give to your child at the time of meltdown, at the time of withdrawal, or for any aggression. Because now you will not look it as aggression, anger, meltdown, or problematic behavior. You will look at it as emotional distress, stress, feeling of being lonely, the depression, the anxiety. That's what we mental health care professionals need to work upon. So why these children are at risk? Because they suffer silently. They cannot express. They are misunderstood. See, in Chinu's story, if we see, we relate how many concerns which Chinu is going through, which we are misunderstanding with tantrums, which we are misunderstanding with the other physical concerns, but they are actually the stress. They are often corrected, not heard. So, regulation, structured routine. What we are doing, we are just trying to correct them, but not hear the problem, not address the real cause. So it's like you might have seen the watermelons. Okay. So watermelons, they have different shapes, but usually oval or round. There are some places where when the watermelon is baby watermelon, they take a plastic box or cardboard box or the mesh, and they put that baby watermelon in that. So baby watermelon is this much, but I make a box, a bigger one, actual the size and shape that I want watermelon to grow with. And I just fix the boundaries. And when the watermelon grows, then you see watermelons in the square shape, watermelons in the rectangle shape. Many of the countries in China, in Japan, we see them. So that's what exactly we are doing with our children. We are fixing the boundaries by regulating them. We are fixing the boundaries by giving them structured routine and allowing them to only grow that much. But this world, my dear friends, this world does not have those boundaries for our child. This world is not predictable. Our child has to mainstream, has to go to the society, get included in the society. And if you have these fixations, the true inclusiveness will never come. So we need to work on the underlying stress, underlying reasons. The hidden truth is not all depression looks like sadness. Not necessarily depression means withdrawal. Not necessarily depression means sadness. In autism, it looks like silence, anger, withdrawal, and behavior problems. As I said, 50% of our behavior problems, which we see in children with autism. I'm sorry, I do not have a research to back up this, but I'm just sharing it with my own experiences. Underlying causes their stress and depression, anxiety. So this is where we fail them the most because we try to correct behaviors. We try to work on behaviors, but underlying causes are there. And I have walked you through from 0 to 25 years of the journey. So once you are controlling one thing, but it again comes, again comes, again comes at different stages of life, different days. So continuous process, stress handling, stress management, stress releasing should be taught to the child. Emotions expression should be taught to the child. And the behaviors, we don't have to worry about them. So Chinu says now, I was not difficult. I was overwhelmed. I was not aggressive. I was breaking inside. I was not silent. I was unheard. If we do not understand their emotions, we will keep correcting their behavior and unknowingly deepen their depression, unknowingly increase their stress and deepen their depression. If stress is ignored for a long time, it can turn into depression, especially in children with autism who cannot express their emotions well. Our research says Children with autism are 4 times more prone to depression. There are chances, children as in people with autism, I would say rather. So people with autism, they face stress differently than all of us because they are not able to express it because of their own limitations. Trying to find out why am I different, they face stress. Trying to build on a relationship, they face stress. So they are 4 times more prone to depression. And the I would say a pity on the situation is symptoms of autism, symptoms of depression overlap with each other, which we just consider these are common traits of autism because child is diagnosed with autism. So we misunderstand. We say, okay, this is autism, this is common in autism, fine. But that is probably autism is there. Okay, child is on spectrum, fine. But probably child is facing depression also because they are 4 times more prone than the other neurotypical children. So if you ignore the stress for a long time, it can turn into depression. Does this depression is the cause of regression in autism? So regression in autism, we all talk about, we try to find out what, and it triggers. At any stage of life, it can trigger. So whatever child has learned or the person has learned goes back, goes into withdrawal, need to bring the child back again. And it's very, very common often we see in children. But the cause of depression, this depression could be the cause of regression in autism. Let's discuss that next week. That's all for today. So we'll discuss about depression and regression, how it is interrelated. Is it interrelated or not? Because if you are able to find a link, then handling regression will become very, very easy for us. We will not let the regression come because we'll work on the stress, depression will not come, and the regression. But first we need to find out, is there a link or not? That's a matter of research. So we'll be looking into it at next week. Now I'm open for the questions. Let me just go through if there are any questions in the live chat. On Thursdays, generally we have YouTube lives, and on Sundays we have YouTube and Zoom live together. So you get the Zoom links where you can interact with me directly. On Thursdays, we just have the YouTube live. So the questions can be typed into the chat on YouTube, and I will be answering them. I'll be reading them one by one, and I shall answer them. So I have a question here. How can teachers support emotional regulation in autism children in classroom? Yes. So if you're talking about a classroom, inclusive classroom, where you have children with autism, other children as well, we need to train the teachers. Teachers need to be trained upon classroom modalities of management of autism. So there are small corrections that we need to make. Sometimes the sitting place of the child in the classroom makes a difference. Sometimes giving attention to the child after every 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 3 minutes makes the difference. So we have in JKP Care Foundation, we have a beautiful program that's called Inclusive Education Teachers Training, IITT. And in Inclusive Education Teachers Training, we handle all these concerns and we train the teachers on how to handle autism within the classroom setting. Now I see, many of the schools, it is compulsorily to have right to admission is given in India. Or children with autism have right to admission now. So schools cannot reject a child just because child is diagnosed with autism. All the mainstream schools should give admission to my child. And the CBSE board has made it mandatory now in the NEP 2020. After that, they have made it mandatory that all the schools, right from 2025, should have the resource room. resource room for handling special need children, children with autism and others. So usually what happens, I appreciate these efforts that are being taken care. I appreciate, but how I am visualizing this situation. I'm just giving you a practical example. A school which has a resource room, a teacher who's teaching the children, one child has behavioral issues. One child starts screaming in the or making sound or disturbs the class. Child is diagnosed with autism, labeled with autism, rather. Teacher immediately calls the support staff and asks to take this child to the resource room because child is disturbing the class. You all might have observed this, or you can visualize this situation. Child is taken to the resource room. And then there is a therapist or a intern, somebody who's doing play therapy or some therapies are going on. Child, for that 1 hour, 45 minutes, 35 minutes, child is there in the resource room. Child settles down, child comes back to the classroom after in the next hour, next session. I'm happy with this, this system, but I'm very unhappy with the way it is being done. Why? Why do I say that? Here, teacher is happy because there is no disturbance in the classroom. Here, the other children are happy because there is no one to disturb them in the classroom. And the child is also happy because child has been taken to resource room where he does a lot of activities and he enjoys those activities. It's a win-win situation for all of them. However, I am unhappy about. Why am I unhappy? Because child is missing the session, the academic session child could have learned along with other children. That is one thing. Okay. That's not all. Okay, you say you can counter me that with special education, with extra support, child will learn those sessions and child will overcome. In a classroom of 20 children, one child is being sent out of the classroom to the resource room because of his behavior. What message other 19 children are getting? And what psychology these 19 children are growing up with? Tomorrow, when they become adults, they are in the offices, they are at their workplaces, they are at their businesses, they're working in the factories, and they see a child with autism, a person with autism, the same child or the other person with autism. The message which they have learned in the childhood, these people are to be kept in. These people are to be kept in resourceful. These people are to be kept away. They are not to be kept here. That's the message they are learned. So that's the psychology they are growing on. So is it inclusion or exclusion? I don't call this as inclusion. I call it as exclusion. That's what is happening. So rather the teacher should be trained how to handle the behavior within the classroom setting. That is important. Providing support, providing resource room is fine, but teachers should be trained on that. So yes, there is a training program. You can connect with JKP Care Foundation. You can visit www.jkp.ngo. You'll find the list of the programs. So IETT, Inclusive Education Teachers Training, is one of the programs that we do it online as well as in physical mode. So we have hybrid programs, we have online programs and physical training programs also. We are doing a behavior modification workshop in Mumbai, in India, on 2nd and 3rd of May. That is physical. So anyone who wants to join with us, you can connect with us for that. I take the next question now. How should parents respond when child shows emotional withdrawal? So when child shows emotional withdrawal, parents needs to analyze the environment. Understand what is triggering, what are the stress triggers in the environment. Work on the stress triggers, change that environment, child will automatically come back to the stage. So emotional withdrawal can be handled very easily by corrections in the environment. And remember, environment, a child's environment is people around. So the response they give, people around, that means how we handle the child, how we behave with the child, or how we respond to the child. Then the physical settings and the materials child uses. So difficulty levels child finds with the materials. All three levels we need to screen, make environment more friendly with the child. You will see automatically, you will see engagement of the child. How to handle the regression in autism? So regression, we are yet to confirm whether it is, what is the underlying reasons for regression. So next session, I'll answer your question. Be with us on Thursday. So we have sessions on Thursdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. So Sundays, there is already a series of understanding autism going on. So we are continuing with that series, that is lifespan management of autism. The videos, the previous sessions which have happened, I think 7 or 8 sessions are already done. Those videos are available on my YouTube channel. You can just go to YouTube and search for my channel at the rate Dr. Alok Arora, DRALOKARORA, and you'll find my channel. You can see the videos there and connect back with us on Sunday. We have a WhatsApp group also for parents for the webinar, where we give information about upcoming webinars and the timings and Zoom links or YouTube live links there. So you can join our WhatsApp group also. So whichever number you have received this invitation for today on WhatsApp, or whichever email, via email you might have received it, you can just reply back, please send me the WhatsApp webinar WhatsApp group link. So our coordinators will send you the link and you can connect with us in the WhatsApp group. So you will get timely information about the webinars. So every Thursday we have sessions and the Sundays Autism Lifespan Management series is going on. And Thursday we are coming up with different topics. So last week we chose stress, depression. And today in continuation, silence to self. And the next week is going to be on regression. So please hold on your question on regression for the next week. I'll answer that. Okay, then I have from Poonam Dua, I have a message. Thank you so much for this informative session. Quite helpful in understanding child behavior. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Poonam. Any other questions from anyone? All joining link for the YouTube channel or for WhatsApp webinar group has been sent on the chat bot also. So you can see the chat bot and on YouTube and you can connect with us. I have one more question here. 1 week since child is refusing to go to school, but rather asking to go elsewhere. Why is it so? Definitely there is an underlying reason in the environment. So we don't have to work with the child. We don't have to look at the child at all. We need to screen the environment. What is triggering in the child? What is the difficulty level has increased in the school, the teacher has changed, or response from a teacher which has been given, that could be a trigger. Response from peer children, that could be a trigger that we need to. So you need to go back to the school, discuss with them in detail, try to understand last 1 week, a week back, like since 1 week child is doing this, exhibiting this behavior. So before that, what all events have happened? Look deeply into them, you will find the reason. If nothing has happened in the school environment, then also there could be one reason. That is, child is finding elsewhere other activities more interesting than the school. That could also be reason. So environment, not necessarily there is a trigger in the direct environment, but something else that is more exciting to the child. So child is feeling more connected. So where child wants to go, where child wants to go elsewhere, you said. So we need to look into where child wants to go, why child wants to go there, what are the attractions child is finding in that environment. So we need to do a detailed environmental analysis for this. You can connect back with me. I'm available for online consultations. Coordinator, you can connect with us, our coordinator, and book an appointment. We can discuss the concerns in detail. And yes, the webinars are free of cost, but appointments are on paid basis. So if you feel like, you can connect with us and we will book an appointment. We will discuss in detail, do the environmental analysis, and we'll find together, we'll reach to the conclusion. Next question I'm going to, do psychiatric medications help if all issues handled so they can be withdrawn? I would not, with due respect to all those professionals working for the um, psychometric conditions, I am not in favor of medications because there is no medication that is there to heal. We have medications just to control. In autism, to control your behaviors, you have medications. You are not able to sleep, you have medication. Till the time that dose is there inside your body, the effect is there. After 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, or some higher doses for 12 hours, the effect is gone. Again, we need to take. So they are not the cure. They are there to just suppress the condition, either to mind recharge or to slow down the brain cognition. So you are artificially, with medication, we are doing it artificially, artificial, suppression or aggression of the mind. But yes, they might be necessary in the severe most cases. They might be necessary. So you need to be like in a multidisciplinary model where you have psychiatrists and psychologists together, and they will improve, based upon the improvement in the child, they will decrease the doses. At times, even for therapies, we need to provide medication so that child is able to connect with us in therapies. But if we are giving medications like Inspirol, Respetrol, which are very common, which are basically to slow down, basically work on slowing down the brain activity, and then we provide the therapies, brain is already in a slow down position. So impact of those therapies are not very good. So I will not recommend here that stop medication. Please understand, I am not saying that we need to stop medication. Even if it has to be stopped, it has to be stopped under the guidance of a medical practitioner, a psychiatrist or developmental pediatrician, with slowing down the stages, not immediately stop medication. Okay, so no, do not start any medication, do not stop any medication. Your child is not, uh, you know, a teddy bear on which you are doing trials. Okay, so let the experts decide, let the medical experts decide what medications are necessary. And on the basis of the improvement in the child, slowly take them to zero medication. At Spandan, we have the adults, almost all of them, slowly, in a gradual manner. We have taken them away from all medications, and they were taking high doses because with the age, usually they increase the doses. So they were on high doses of medications, but now all of them are out of those medications. So we work on that, but with the help and guidance from our medical expert. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Thank you so much. I believe that you all find these webinars and the sessions which we are doing useful. And I would request you all to give us reviews. Your reviews help us to improve and motivate us. So I'll be requesting the coordinator, our coordinators, GKP coordinators, to kindly send the review link to you all via WhatsApp, via email, and kindly review. Please give us ratings and reviews that will help us. YouTube channel you can subscribe to so that you'll get timely notifications about further webinars, and the WhatsApp group also you can join. Thank you very much, everyone. Wish you all the best. See you all on Sunday and then next week again. So Sunday, 8 o'clock, we will have a webinar, and then Thursday, we'll be talking about regression. So Thursday series will continue with Thursday, and Sunday's autism lifespan management series is going on. Timings are the same, 8 o'clock India time. As per your own country, zone time, you can adjust to the timings. Recordings of these webinars will also be uploaded on our channel. So you can go to our channel within a day, like maybe tomorrow, the recording will be live there. So if you want to review a session, you can go through our channel, share these recordings with the other parents who are not able to join, other professionals also you can share it with. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.